All right, so welcome back, everybody. This is our sort of our third session, definitely our third hour of our last 4 hours today of the 100. Again, the commitment, teach, record, and upload 100 complimentary hours of martial arts classes to try to help as many people as possible. Please make sure that you are subscribed. I know it's a little bit of a cliche these days, like and subscribe, right? But it is very important. Please, as far as the YouTube channel, there's all that content there, and this will all get uploaded very, very soon. Once again, to formalize your training relationship with me, please go to Stoops, OMALC.com. The entirety of my JKD and my Filipino martial arts and my CLOT curricular progressions as 3 separate systems are there. That's also where our classes are going to be accessible moving into next week and the future. So this section is going to be on a theme that's kind of emerged from this last month and a half of, being figuratively invited into your living room or your training hall or wherever you're training. And it's the idea of uninhibited movement. And so I was teaching a workshop last night on Zoom on stick fighting, and this theme popped up again. And it's been very prevalent in our CLOT, and I kind of wanted to use this section to bring together all of my offerings and just get people moving, and also put this on video conceptually as our, our second to last hour of the 100. So I'm gonna review for you the Guyungs real quickly, super quick. I did these all, pardon me, I'm leaving the frame and coming right back. I did these all in a recent class for CLOT for one of our offerings, so I won't spend an incredible amount of time here. So one, Guyung 1 is our, let me do it to the side here. Guyung 1 is our attack T, right? My feet are neutral. That would be this line here. And I'm stepping forward on this line, all right? And I have a little bit of limited space, but you get the idea. That's Guyung 1. Guyung 2 is going to be your retreating T, or defensive T. So I'm neutral here on that line, the stick that's closest to you on the lateral line. Stepping back here. Okay, that's our Guyung 2. In FMA circles, Guyung 3 is our female triangle. And we've talked about this before. Your shoulders can be even. You can lean with the opposite side shoulder as the leg that stepped out. Or you can stick out or advance with the same side shoulder. Some different options. Okay, but I don't teach that as A, B, and C. I'm just giving you different options, and you choose on any given day what's going to work best for you. Guyung 4, I'm not going to illustrate with sticks. You step to one corner of the diamond, you step to the far corner, you bring your foot back on that vertical line, bisecting the diamond, you foot replace, and repeat that at the other side. So this is your Guyung 4. Guyung 5 would be the male triangle. So I'm at the tip, I'm stepping back along the sides. Okay? Just imagine, please, there's a third line completing the triangle. Guyang, whoops, looks like I don't have enough space or something. Guyang 6 is moving. So now I'm on the lateral line. I'm at the corner and I foot replace. This is your Guyang 6. You can also change direction. Now I'm moving around the triangle the other way. That's your Guyang 6. Guyang 7, I need 2 other sticks and I'm not going to grab them. There's just, it's two triangles stuck together at the tip. And you do 3 or 4 reps of the lateral triangle with the non-moving foot stuck at the intersection of the tips. This is the lateral triangle. My left foot would be stuck at the intersection. Then I switch. 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 reps. I can switch back. 1, 2, 3. I'll switch back on that same line. 1, 2, 3. This time I'll switch with the female triangle. 1, 2, 3. This time I'll switch down this line. 1, 2, 3. That's modified Guyang 7. And again, you know, I've been around a while. I mean, not as long as some, but definitely long than others as far as the Inosanto lineage. Guru Suzanne Spezzano is really one of the only people that I've ever seen do the original Guyang 7, which I'm just not going to attempt because I'm not one of those people. Guru Suzy is. She's one of the few people I've ever actually seen do the original well. And because it's the original Guyang 7 is so hard, Guru Dan made Guyang 7 that modified version that you just saw. So those are, you know, in Mafalindo we say Guyang. In Penchak Silat Sarah, you might, or other traditional Silat, which we're going to look at one right now, you might hear Lanka. Okay, so in Silat Sunda Bahun, which I would like to cover along the lines of this theme for the next few minutes, you're going to have Jurus with an S sound and anglicized with an S at the end of it, D-J-U-R-U-S, Jurus. And they're counted Jurus Satu, Jurus Dua, etc. And in Penchak Silat Sarah, at least, yes, Jurus is the, oh, interesting. Okay, Jurus is the Indonesian word. Brandon's providing me with some other information. It's why it's nice to collaborate here. Okay, so and Juru means expert or technician. Interesting. Jurus. Plural is Jurus. Very good. Thank you. And so that's what you're sharing with me is fascinating because no, you're not interrupting at all. Thank you so much for the information. Getting some good information from Brandon. Very, very well versed in Silat. I mean, very, 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 very well versed, and providing some additional information. So, and I truly appreciate that. So, Jurus, the way that Guru Yana, again, I'm Guru Tharyana Sasangara, out of Inwood, which is the northernmost neighborhood in Manhattan. It is my Silat Sunda Bahun instructor. And that's where, again, you know, Juru Satu, like, is where we'll start. It is that first. So I'm gonna like not only anglicize this, I'm gonna make this super easy conceptually in English. A form for the upper body, okay? And so a form for the upper body. Lanka or Guyang, a form or a template for the lower body. So those, as we just went through those the seven Guyangs of the Mafalindo system, those are simplified. I mean, you know, Mafalindo is Guru Dan's summation. He did what he normally does. He went and trained with everybody under the sun to try to experience as many different expressions of Silat as possible. And then, being very reverent, which he is, made some decisions about what he wanted to keep within his progression. Okay. And then for anybody participating with me, I've also further refiltered the Mafalindo progression. Again, not because I think I know better, but to make things maybe a little bit more learnable, just based on going on, 14, 15 years of Mafalindo, 17 years of Silat in general, right? It's just trying to, here's what I've observed, and I think if we try it this way, we might be able to have more people learn this faster with this little modification, that sort of a thing. So those Gaiungs are simplified, because if you, I don't know if Brandon's in a position to show you his mat. It has all the diagrams, the platform. Yeah, excellent. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pin this really quickly. Okay, so, oh, that's awesome. Thank you so great. Okay, now I don't sound like so much of a crazy person. But so you see, thank you. I appreciate the shaking of your head. Thanks so much. Okay, so that what you all saw there, those all the diagrams, all the angles, all the intersections, all the corners in Sarah, at least Penchak Silat Sarah, we're going to call that the platform work. That's the platform on which the practitioner performs. You use the, that's just part of it. Okay, well, I love that you have that. Those are really, really nice mats, because, I've shared with you before, the best I ever got was some like prosumer level puzzle mats with duct tape, or electrical tape rather, to try to make some of the diagrams. So those are really nice. So what you do is you learn the lonkas and perform the lonkas, or sometimes even just the sweeps and the different throws along the lines of the platform that you all saw. And then later, when you're really moving through the system, you're gonna do your jurus as well. Okay. Now, I'm sharing my experience. I'm not refuting the information that's been offered, and I'm not a person I don't walk on eggshells verbally, and I'm not overly nice. It's just really important to me in martial arts that people are treated the way that I want to be treated. So Brandon's got an incredible Silat background. I mean, incredible. In my time in Penchak Silat Sarah, and Brandon would know, he's been to Indonesia multiple times, like he's got the background. In my time in Penchak Silat Sarah, which is fairly considerable, we just say Juru. Okay, so Juru 1, Juru 2, Juru 3, and I'm going to speculate that is that thing again of anglicizing and re-anglicizing and passing Asian words between people within organizations and within different derivations of a system, and then everybody starts using it that way. Okay, because I take note of these things. This is, I shared this last night. Like, aside from spending time with my wife and kids and my friends, teaching, training, talking, and learning about martial arts is one of my favorite activities in my entire life. And I have the benefit of being an educator and having the education that I do as a tool to better help me learn to pass these things on to other people. So when I started working with Guru Yana, and now I'm learning from Brandon that this is quite correct, I took note. Oh, okay. Oh, it's Jurus. Jurus Satu, Jurus Dua, Jurus Tiga. All right. And again, because part of my experience, I guess, was hearing it used somewhat incorrectly based on what you're explaining to me, that was noteworthy according to my experience. Okay. Because, you know, this is Juru 1, the way that we were last doing it. And again, for everybody, we're talking about Mahaguru Stephen Plank. He's in Washington State. He was the top student of the late Pendekar Paul Detwars, and Pendekar Paul is passed. That's why I'm saying was. Mahaguru Steve would come down to Sifu Guru Bud Thompson's Kali Academy 2 or 3 times a year for the first 5 years that I was with Sifu Bud. And so I started working with him super early within my experience of this lineage and all these different arts. And we always, Juru 1, Juru 2, Juru 3, and I believe there are 18. I only know, I think, 4 of them. And then the way that we did the Juru work or Juru's work changed, because we were very much in a similar sort of cat stance, very similar to what we did in the salutation. And we'd be here, and I can't replicate, even though I did my Jurus that way for what is that? I mean, over 10 years, 12, 11 years, 12 years. In 2017, Mahaguru Steve did a multi-day, like a 20-hour, 3 or 4 day camp, you know, multi-day seminar. We didn't actually camp. And the stance had changed. It became this side-facing. It kind of reminded me of like John L. Sullivan, like put up your dukes. And all really emphasizing the difference, and I'm making these terms up, with this sort of shoulder-facing profile relationship to my opponent versus this full front, my sternum is now facing you. And you know, I have enough, granted, I mean, seminar time, but still a fair amount of hours under Mahaguru Steve consistently over the years, and then we would work on what he was showing us to note that change. And anyways, I probably need to get out of this C-lot hole of talking and get you all moving. When you train with Guru Yana, this is also a difference, and this will get us back on track. And if you all want to start practicing these movements with me, that would be great. In Penchak Silat Sarab, that is like Silam Tao in Wing Chun. The moves are the moves are the moves. They must be done in a certain way, in a certain order, and those movements make up Silam Tao. Juru 1 must be, at least based on the way we were doing it in 2017, must be done like that. That is Juru 1, those movements in that way. and you know, clearly Mahaguru Steve and his senior, you know, people that he's certified would do it far better than me. Okay, but that's the form. It must be done that way. And for me, because I teach multiple systems, you know, form, kata, jurus, we're talking synonyms for the same idea, okay? In Silat Sunda Bahun, it is not that way. It's a couple of ideas for movement that you can then freelance. So again, all of your additional information, Brandon, is fascinating. I'm the guy who's just going to be like, oh, that's really interesting. And I mean it. I'm never going to get offended when people are like, well, in our system, we call it this, or this actually means this, or what, like, I'm completely comfortable. Oh, in organization X, I guess, then they're actually not quite using that word 100% correctly. Cool. You know, Coach Dylan, I was sharing earlier during kickboxing, even though I have a higher ranking than him, his Savat training is actually way more up to date than mine is as far as being current. And he had a lot of wonderful interjections earlier today. And I mean, for me, the moment that I just say, well, that's not how we do it, my analysis has stopped and I stop learning. And again, I mean, that gentleman over there now, you know, he'll, on the 24th of this month, I think he's 84. Yeah. Is kind of my inspiration. Like, I don't ever want to stop learning, and I don't ever want to walk around like I've arrived. Everybody revere me and the level that I don't really have any interest in that. I know I'm a good instructor. I know I have a lot to offer. Big deal if I don't use it to help people arrive where they want to arrive. Like, where, you know, where does all that knowledge go if you don't share it? Okay, we usually say you can't take it with you in terms of material objects. Well, I mean, we don't really know, but I'm speculating at this point. You can't take it with you as far as the knowledge that you have. You might as well share it with other people so that they improve their lives and the world becomes a better place. And if that is overly optimistic, well, oh well, I'm very comfortable with that. So, Juru Satu, okay? You're gonna have this structure. Juru Satu is all about maintaining this full extension. The thumb is not supposed to at any point come in. It's supposed to stay open, elongated. Juru Satu is defined by this hand position. So basic structure, the back of the hand, while maintaining that position, needs to be facing away, facing your imaginary opponent. And forgive me on my there we go. I can see myself here. There's not supposed to be contact, so this would be incorrect. There's supposed to be room here. Your elbow at any given time is supposed to be even with your wrist. You have this rotation, and you have the ability within that structure at any time to switch sides. Okay, now once again, as I've experienced it over the course of about a year, and I like honesty and transparency, I haven't been able to train with Guru Yana in 2020. He went to Indonesia at the end of 2020, and then he got back, and he was away for some time, and then he got back, and we were just trying to coordinate, you know, starting up my private lessons again with him when everything got shut down. Okay, so, but my experience of training with him, I mean, doing private lessons pretty consistently once a week for the better part of a year, these are all templates for movement. So it's different than this is the first motion, this is the second motion, this is the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th. And all those steps have to be there, or it's not Juru 1 from Penchak Silat Sarah. This is already without the offensive tools. Well, how many rotations, Guru Bryan? Well, I don't know. Whatever you want. Are you staying in structure? Can I stay on one side and rotate? Sure you can. Can I switch sides? Sure you can. Can I do a few rotations and then switch sides? Yeah, yes. Yes, you can. Within the context of Juru Satu. Offensive tools. You have this kind of spearing motion in with the hand. You have a vertical elbow. You have an outward elbow. You have an inward elbow. And you have a downward elbow. You can repeat that on the other side. Spear, up, outward, inward, downward. That's the order that I usually like to teach those 5 movements in. Is that the order? Is this 1 and this is 2 and this is 3 and then 4 and then 5? No, that's the order that Guru Yana showed them to me, the order in which he showed them to me. And that's the order because I memorized them that way that I just think is kind of easy to show people. So what is this going to really look like? Well, you have your rotation, and then at any given time, you can express any of those tools. If you want to stick with one tool and a rotation, then that's absolutely fine. If you want to move and express and cycle through all of them or most of them, then that's going to be fine as well. That is all technically Juru Satu. We do that seated, we do that standing, and we do that with some Lanka work in Silat Sunda Bahun. Now, in our Silat program, and this is really where I need to expand this idea, I love every single art I teach. And part of my ongoing, I guess it's a good problem to have, is just having more that I could be teaching people than time to teach it. And I'm very aware of the rhetoric that might be leveraged against that, but I don't care. I like every single thing that I teach, and every single thing that I train gives me something different to bring to my practice. And I have new revelations all the time to be able to share with the people that I work with to help them improve their practice and get where they want to get. So I'm going to talk about Silat for a few more moments here, but then we're going to move beyond this. So in the last couple of months of finishing the online study resources for the Silat program and creating a lot of content lately that's kind of dual purpose. The original materials for the online martial arts learning community was all partnered, right? Guru Carlos helped me do a lot of it. And then Coach Dylan helped me finish up FMA and JKD. And then we were kind of shut down. And so I finished Silat in my living room, right? My wife helped me as my partner, and I don't know that we ever had movie studio production quality even when we were in the Manhattan Academy, but the most important part was that it got done and it got recorded. and it's finished, and my members have something to study by. Right now, I'm putting some energy into finishing up my kids' curriculum on video, my Kid Persist program. That's entirely filmed here in, Martial Arts Academy, Family Martial Arts Academy Living Room Edition. I've been trying to, when I record something now for my members, I've been trying to create, what does it look like when you have a partner? And what does it look like when you don't have a partner? And my members and I have ongoing dialogue, which I really like because they push me to be creative. And something that came out of all of this is the idea for your Black EKIT test, the final level in the CLOT program, the idea of a comprehensive Kambongan. And the comprehensive Kambongan is going to be you putting together a Kambongan that is a kinesthetic summary of my entire curriculum. And you're going to pre-plan it. You're not going to start the camera rolling and then like wing it. You're going to pre-plan it and you're going to practice it. And you're going to go through it. And it's something that does not require a partner. And I'm kind of tickled by that idea. I did not come up with the idea of Kambongan. I did not even come up with the idea of Kambongan as a way of reverse engineering our application-based CLOT. Right, so in Mafalindo, in traditional CLOT, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That might be, okay, this is technique 1, and you're just going to do that split entry to Beset Dalam, and then knee the face as you go get the supporting foot. And in traditional CLOT, you might do that again, and it depends on the instructor and a number of factors, but you might just be doing that in the air over time. And like your Jurus, right? You might be doing that in the air over time. And it depends on the instructor if you're going to see the application or when you're going to see the application, and it depends on their approach. And in Mafalindo, and again, I'm just relating, this is how we do things. I'm not saying this is the way. This is how we do things in Mafalindo. In Mafalindo, we would have a partner who throws their jab, and we split it, and we straight armbar into the Beset Dalam, and then we knee their face as we go get the other foot, and we would actually perform the technique or the application. So I call Mafalindo an application-based CLOT system. You start with the application. And then in my curriculum, something that is a slight modification is the requirement is to purposefully Kambongan those techniques. And we're doing that Kambongan both as a review, because it is a way. If I'm by myself, I can get reps. And what I will say is that is better than not training at all. That is better because we're getting in some training. You can visualize. I'm genuinely trying to picture a person feeding me, and I'm really imagining, even trying to feel like where my body would make contact as I'm running through that technique. So we have the Kambongan as a way of reviewing what we've learned, and we have the Kambongan as a way of paying some reverence to the more traditional approach to learning CLOT. And, for me, CLOT has been a really interesting journey because I start with Mafalindo in depth, with this kind of additional Penchak Silat Sarah experience that was going on in the wings. And then lately because that's kind of my base and has been for so many years, going back and really trying to fill in my understanding of traditional Silat has been a great joy. And I'm not saying that that's the way to do it. I'm saying that's been my experience, and that's been really excellent. So, you know, Brandon, I'm looking forward to when we can actually physically train and collaborate and learning from you, because I love learning from everybody, and it's just, and I feel that way about everything that I'm involved with. So here's where, you know, if you're, I know everybody has their video off, and that's fine if we're comfortable. If you want to start going into some of those gayungs, and you can start playing with your Silat Sunda Bahun, and maybe you stay in that structure for a little while, and then you start expressing some of the techniques from the system in the air. That would work as well. And in a very general way, I'm giving you some things that you can think about to start to plan your comprehensive Kambongan. And the other factor that we're not really incorporating right now is the ground domain. And verbally, let me kind of, you know, kind of go through the ground domain. We have ground mobility exercises. One for the high sawa, that's the seaweed. Most of them for the low sawa, the low cobra. Seat spin, windshield wiper, helicopter, horseshoe roll. We also have the rolling tripod. And the rolling tripod is really good for your tuklao, right? That's that kind of almost like a ground-based oblique kick, if I had to describe the tuklao. Then you have individual offensive tools for the ground: roundhouse kick, side kick, sickle kick, spinning sickle kick, tuklao. Then you have combinations. If you do the combinations by yourself, in Mafalinda we say it's bunga. It's bunga means flower. It's ornate. It definitely does serve a function, and you start experiencing the coordination of executing those techniques. If you get a partner and you do the same kicking combinations while your partner does the evasions on the proper side, we call that bua. Bua means fruit. Fruit also has a function, but fruit can actually nourish you, and bua is slightly, at least the way it's been taught to me, bua is slightly more appreciated than bunga when you perform those exercises or those combinations with a partner. Because even if you're not gunning for each other, you're getting the experience of what it would be really like to see the person's face, to recognize the lines on which you'd be attacking. And they still believe bunga, doing it solo, flower, is important. Bua just gives you something slightly above that. But right now, depending on your situation, you might not be able to do the bua expression. Then we also have a number of tools for when you're the stand-up player and you're kicking down or playing down towards the ground-based player. Once we've kind of moved through all of that, we move into our 4 modalities of play. Ground versus ground. Both players are going to stay on the ground. At any point, you might be on your rear end, you might be on your knees, you might be on one knee, you might be on a hand and a foot in like a tripod type of a situation. Ground versus ground. Stand-up versus ground. You're the stand-up player versus your partner's ground-based player. Ground versus standing. You're the ground-based player versus your partner's stand-up player. So we have 3 out of 4 modalities. The final modality is freelance. You can go any elevation. You can be the ground-based player or the stand-up based player. In Mothalindo, though, typically if you have a moment where both people become the stand-up player, one person will recognize that and usually quickly within the round go back to the ground. That's just the way that we do it. Because if you think about the kicking modalities that I give you to develop your game when you're the stand-up player versus the ground-based player, they really do look a lot like capoeira. And I know we've discussed this before. And in the Inasanto perspective, there's nothing wrong recognizing the interplay of those 2 arts. But I've shared this with you before because Guru Inasanto shared this with us many, many times. He is a little remiss to think of any other 2 martial arts communities that like to be compared to one another less than Silat and capoeira. When in fact, I mean, they really do. There's a lot of coordination there and they really do inform one another quite well. And I have a little bit more of just a fanboy style appreciation of capoeira than I do Silat because I'm so much more involved in Silat. I just think capoeira is really cool. And because I operate in the space in which I do, I'm not really concerned about how combative it is. I could care less. I couldn't care less, excuse me. I just think it's really neat, and I think it gets your body moving in excellent ways, and I think it's a lot of fun, and I think it's good training, and I think it's great exercise. So I'm kind of enamored with that art, and I'd like to learn more about it and experience it a bit more than I have. What that progression really leads to, everybody, is you have in my curriculum, you have a structured pathway to take you to being able to play in those 4 modalities: ground versus ground, stand-up versus ground, ground versus stand-up, freelance. So the comprehensive Kembongan should really incorporate that as well. But it's really just going to be you during those parts of that long Kembongan. It's going to be you expressing one of those modalities, right? For this 15 seconds, I'm the stand-up player playing down towards the imaginary ground-based player, or vice versa. So it's got to incorporate that. And we've spent a ton of time on the basic offense. It starts with 6, and then we add 2 variations on the head and arm throw. The one where you wrap, smash, throw, and the one where you do the puder kafala with your leg. And you've seen over the past few weeks, or the past many weeks, all the different ways in the curriculum that we approach those techniques. I taught the arm hook series a few weeks ago. We have things like the arm hook series, the rocking chair to takedown series, which I don't know that I've gotten to in the public classes. We have a a series from Herman Sawanda that looks, sorry, it just what it is. It looks a lot like Wing Chun, but it's actually Mande Muda Silat from the late Pak Herman Sawanda. We have the La Costa Armbar series, which when people first see it, they tend to think it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because that's where people usually go in modern times when you are thinking about arm bars, but supine arm bars and prone arm bars, but it's actually from the late, Master John LaCosta. And in the end, these are all pathways for you to become confident in your movement and become uninhibited. So let's do this, okay? And you don't have to turn your video on, but if you're still training, please stand up for a moment here. Okay, for 30 seconds, do a kembangin of your expression of silat. And if you don't have, like, my mats aren't set up right now, and I'm not going to set them up today because I don't want to. If you don't have mats, don't go on the ground. If it's going to hurt you, stand up. If you know more silat than beyond my system, you can include that as well. Okay, so 30 seconds ish. Everybody just kembangin some silat for 30 seconds. Time, great. Would you grab any single weapon, please? A stick, a dagger, a sword. All right. In Filipino martial arts, we say carenza, but carenza is really just Filipino for, that's great. Carenza is really just Filipino for kembangin with the weapon. Okay, go ahead. Great, time. If it's not too much trouble, if it's accessible, would you find any two weapons of the same length? And if anybody's having trouble tracking them down, go like this, stick your forefingers out, okay? All right, so double weapon carenza or kembangin, go ahead. Good, okay, time. To the best of your abilities, sticking to boxing and kickboxing type tools, would you shadow kickbox? Go. Okay, time. Last one. Would you think about any other martial movements that you know, and for about 20, 25, 30 seconds, just express those in the air. Go. Time. Really nice. Okay. So, really thinking about this lately, really thinking about Kambongan, Carenza, shadow boxing, forms, kata, jurus, lankas, gayungs, equipment patterns, Thai Boxing Association, 15 count, and so on. All of these things, everybody, are templates for perpetual movement that is informed by a style or a system, so that you get out of your own way mentally with any kind of thoughts of, is this right? Is this good? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And so you let all of that go, and so that you move. And again, you have pathways, structured pathways that you can walk, so that you start, I don't have a better way of saying it, even though maybe it sounds a little life coachy, so that you start believing that your authentic movement is not only good enough, but that, and it's and that it's correct, even though I don't really know what that means in this context, but mainly so that you get out of your own way and you just start moving. And again, I've really, guys, thank you. Okay. I've really been just kind of focused. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, but I just haven't thought along those lines for until about the last few months. Like, why are we doing all this? Why are we learning all these things? Why might we explore all these different martial arts? So that we can express ourselves through movement unencumbered by doubt. And that authentic, natural movement, whatever you're going to label it as, Carenza, Kambongan, shadow boxing, shadow kickboxing, that it just starts to manifest. Again, using these structured pathways to free you up from any kind of doubt or disbelief or imposter syndrome, so that you just start to like the movement that you are naturally producing in real time. Okay, so I'm a little bit over time. I'm going to end this recording. I know I didn't put it in the schedule. Let's take 5, everybody, and then we'll come back at maybe 10, 11 after, well, maybe 12 after, and then we'll wrap this up.